Hello. Morning. I think it's like 5:30 or something in the morning. I wish I could wait until the sun was out so that I could record this, because I love recording in natural light. I think that's how I look best. But it is what it is. Anyways, there's a thought that's been racking itself inside my brain. It has to do, I guess, with detachment from parents. Because I guess for context, I cut my parents off again. I don't know if I've already mentioned this. I don't think or at least not the most recent one. Probably not, because it's like Monday. But I've been having a very difficult time when it comes to my parents, because I realized that the root reason why I have been unsuccessful for so long is because of how they think and how they see and treat money. And it's also their energy, just their perpetual self-suffering. So what I mean by that is, when you think that it's kind of like a victim mentality thing. It's like, oh, the world's against me, so everything sucks, and that's why I have this attitude, and I don't have to change because I'm old. It happens to a lot of old people, where, especially as their bodies break down, which naturally, yeah, you'd be upset over, rather than to do something about it, they complain. And I think this goes for a lot of people, as just in general, is that when people are complaining, overtly complaining. So I'm saying what I'm talking about is complaining about the same things over and over again, the same problems over and over again. And it's things that from an outside perspective you can see easily solvable, but they have all these excuses as to why they can't solve the problem. So I have noticed that with my parents, and I am in a phase in my life where I need good energy around me. And I think this is a problem for a lot of people, because if you are clearing out energy and you're detaching yourself from people, yeah, there's a lot of people it's going to be hard to detach from. It's hard to detach from friends or exes if you were romantically involved with someone, and you thought they were your world, and then you realize that they're like no good for you. But it's really hard when it comes to your parents, because I think we all have this kind of natural line of thinking that we owe our parents something because they brought us into this world, into the physical world, right? But I guess I've been thinking about this because I had a conversation with a friend the other day where I was like, yes, you brought me into this world, but you didn't even bring me under the right pretenses. So, or like, the right conditions. So it's like, if I'm gonna live my life trying to repay you for a debt that apparently I will never be able to pay, because you know, you're making the cost of the debt so high. I'm always gonna be broke. So it's like you have to detach yourself from, I guess, that idea of feeling like you have to make it for your parents or make your parents proud before you can really make yourself proud, or before you can really say you've made it. Yeah, because it's like if you're living by their definition of success, and you guys have completely different measures of what success is, or even concepts of what success looks like, then, you know, you're always gonna fail. And I think that little failure psychologically trickles into everything you do. So it's like, no matter how good you are at something, if you don't feel like you're gonna get your parents' approval, and then, you know, they reflect that, then you're gonna continue to fail, because you're just gonna keep thinking that you're a failure because you couldn't impress, or, you know, you couldn't because you couldn't make them proud, or you couldn't take care of them, or whatever. And what I'm learning is that the best way to help, there's a point where we grow up and it's clear that it's our turn to guide. And yeah, I think it's hard sometimes to break the line of thinking and realize that you and your parents are equals. Because when you're thinking about this physical world, yeah, they're the reason why you're here. But as beings, as consciousness experiencing on this world, once you exit the womb, it's like you're on your own, and you have to think about yourself as an individual. And I think a lot of us just have a really hard time separating ourselves from that idea of being separate from them. Because, yeah, physically, you're always going to be a part of them. You have their DNA. And that's why a lot of us end up in generational, or like perpetuating the same patterns in a different way, which is what generational trauma is. But I think the way to break that pattern is to basically stand up to your parents and be like, yo, this is the shit you're doing wrong, and I'm gonna do it differently. And yeah, I'm just not gonna fucking tolerate, I'm not gonna enable your bad behaviors just because you're my parents. This is why I think that I might have spoken about this before, because I had a conversation with my aunt the other week when I was, I think after I had the fire, I think I might have talked about it when I had that full moon fire. But basically, my aunt and some other people that are in the same age range of my parents, the same generation, were like, oh, well, family's family. But it's like, if I keep bending over backwards for them because family is family, and then they psychologically see it as, oh, okay, so she's not gonna leave. so I can just keep acting however I act. And it's this thing of, I think psychologically, as the parents, they see themselves if oh god there's a hierarchy in their mind, and they see themselves as superior because they're older or because they brought you into this world, right? So they think they can do no wrong, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have flaws. So it's like consequences apply to them too. It just because you're the child doesn't mean that you can't tell them the consequences or be the consequence, if that. Because that's what's happening with my parents right now, is that the consequence of them not wanting to change their attitudes and for not wanting to cleanse themselves of their negative energy, or to even look at themselves as giving out negative energy, is I'm not gonna be there. Sorry, bye. It's, like, because I'm only able to really understand this now because I have a daughter myself. So I know that she's gonna absorb whatever is around her. And if I know that my parents are negatively influencing her, I'm not gonna subject her to be around them just because they're my parents. You don't get that entitlement. No. Change your attitude or you can't be around my daughter. I'm so sorry. It's like and I think that's a thing. When you become a parent yourself, you start to see it, because it's really easy to see where your parents went wrong when you're in the position yourself. And it's easy to empathize as well, because you're like, oh, okay, I can understand why they got lazy here, or whatever, or like, because you're gonna make mistakes. It doesn't matter how much research you do on parenting. If you help somebody else parent, it's very, very, very different once you're a parent yourself, and when you go through the trials and tribulations yourself. But when you realize that you have to make good choices for yourself in order to make good choices for your kid, it puts into perspective what you should do. And I think a lot of parents aren't able to even get to that line of thinking just because they're so tired. I can't, and I don't blame them. I don't blame any parents. Or, you get stuck in thinking that, like, oh, you messed up this, and then you try to be a perfectionist as a parent, and you can't. You're gonna mess up, and the point is, and this is just the point in life, is you mess up, and then you learn from the mess up, and then you do better next time. But a lot of people don't want to accept that they messed up in the first place, so then they don't get to the learning part, and then they can't do better, and then they stay where they are. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's where I think you can break the pattern. Because if you stand up to your parents, and if you say, yo, that is not okay, and then, you have consequences, whether that be you don't see them anymore, or you don't help them as much financially. Because I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, there's a point where you kind of have to be the parent back, especially like if you feel like there was something that was neglected from you in your childhood. It's like you kind of have to show them. And I'm not saying to do that in like a way that's petty. It's a boundary thing. basically is what I'm saying, is you have to model what you want out of them for them to do it. Yeah. Which is true of all relationships. But I guess, again, I'm sitting here talking about it because I'm realizing that, yeah, this is a problem for a lot of people, because a lot of us can't break that bear with me, it's almost 6 a.m. Oh, the roles. We can't break the roles of parent and child. We don't see where the switch happens. Because, yeah, in physical terms, yes, they will always be the parent and you will always be the child. But mentally, when it comes to being a guide, it goes both ways. Actually, no, it always goes both ways, because I said in a video, there was a video I made before as well, where I said that I learned so much from my daughter. And I think, yeah, that's where a lot of parents get stuck too, is they don't want to give their kids the credit. And for some of them, they don't want to give them the credit because they don't want them to surpass them. And I think that is probably the number one prerequisite to knowing if you are ready to be a parent, is, are you okay with this kid surpassing you? Because if the answer is no, don't be a parent, because you're always going to be self-sabotaging the kid. Even if you have like the best intentions, like subconsciously, because you're in competition with your child, you're gonna do it. You're gonna say shit to knock them off their game, because you don't want them to succeed, because them succeeding means they surpass you. But the way that you should see it is, you should be proud because they're succeeding because of you. You assisted. I think I've been thinking about this because I've been thinking a lot about mentorship and like what it means to be a good mentor. And yeah, it translates to the same thing as being a good parent. I realized in myself that I am going to make a great mentor because I really care about other people's success, and like people getting to have that feeling when you achieve something that you really wanted. And I like to see the passion in people's eyes, right? And so as my daughter grows up, I'm not gonna push her to do the things that I want her to do. I'm gonna help push her in the things that she wants to do, so she can go as far as she can. It's like, if you look at all the greatest athletes, all the really great artists, behind most of them is at least one really supportive parent. Yeah. So going back to this conversation that I had with my dad, the really hard one that I had, I was basically telling him about how the way that he treats money really shaped how I viewed and acted with money myself. And I ended up pretty much down the same pattern, even though I wasn't going about it the same way. because he was spending his money in, you know, gambling and borrowing and stuff like that. And for me, I was just keeping my debts to myself. I was investing in myself, but, you know, when I was in my relationship, when I was in my marriage, I didn't share any of that with my partner. I tried to keep it to myself because I didn't want to be a burden on them, because he was a burden on my mom. And when I went over to talk to him about this, I also made a point to say, hey, I'm not trying to say that you ruined my life or anything. At the end of the day, I'm very thankful for what I did get out of you as a father, which was, he was the supportive one. He was the one who would recognize that I had talents and, you know, would encourage me. Did he take it as far as he could? No. And that's probably why I wasn't a child superstar or anything like that. But I think a really good example of this is Beyonce, because I believe Beyonce's dad was her manager when she was younger. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I know that something happened and she either had to cut him off or cut him out or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of like a testament to you know, how some parents just can hold you back, and sometimes you have to let go of them. You have to completely let go of that judgment, because for most parents, at the end of the day, they're always going to love you. And, you know, once you attain that success for yourself and, like, you really do it, they'll see. But it's like, if you're always looking for the approval first, or you're making your goal their approval rather than to just enjoy what you're doing, or, you know, do what you do the best you can do it, then yeah, you're gonna always fall in that trap of I guess, failure, because you're subconsciously measuring to their standards, and their standards are not your standards. So all that to say, you need to separate yourself from what their standards are, what their ideologies are, and you need to take the things that do resonate with you, take the things that you would want to adopt, and then separate yourself from all the things that you don't, and be honest about that. Be honest with them about it. Because at the end of the day, if anything, it should make them better. And if they react negatively and, you know, they don't want to talk to you, or, you know, they want to, like, withhold their love from you, let them. Trust me, you'll be better for it. It's what I'm really, really learning is that nobody is worth the cost of your energy. If it takes energy from you, it's not good, and it doesn't matter who it is. Because at the end of the day, in this physical world, you are only experiencing for you. You can't experience for other people. So, yeah, I guess that's the message. I hope it made sense. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. I hope it was insightful. And until next time. Actually, wait, before I go. Yeah, I have so many fucking ideas. If you're watching this, you are catching me at a time where I'm just about to really make some waves. So pat yourself on the back. You are a pioneer. Is that what a hipster is? You were here before it was cool. 'Cause trust me, listening to me is cool. 'Cause it makes you a better person. Okay, again, thank you for listening. Until next time, bye.